Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 213 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as those we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my fellow aliens from Metroid.
Ooh, my name is Craig. Uh, Nothing more.
My name is also Craig. The only Metroid I've ever beaten is the very first one on NES.
Ooh, okay.
And the only Metroid I've beaten is Metroid Prime.
Fair.
Okay, I think I played the first. What was the one on Game Boy, Craig?
Oh my
Fusions?
god. Like Game Boy?
Yeah, like Game Boy,
Oh
Game
dear
Boy.
Lord, I don't even remember.
Whatever that one was, that's the
Okay.
one I beat.
Okay.
Anyway, Barry, go ahead.
No problem. Well, we'll get into the news this week. We took a week off last week just due to some scheduling conflicts on my end. I was visiting family, and that gives us time to talk about and digest the Nintendo Direct that we got last week. Kind of the older part of the news, but kind of the biggest part. I'll just go over the Nintendo Direct and all of its announcements, and then we can kind of pick and choose what we want to go through, I guess. We had no new Switch. No new Switch was announced. We did get Mario and Luigi Brothership, a new Mario and Luigi game.
Yeah.
We have the Apple Arcade exclusive Fantasian Neo Dimensions coming to Switch. Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 2D HD remake. The Dragon Quest 3 is the first to come out November 14th. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD on Switch, coming January 16th. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, coming to Switch and PS5 in 2024. Turok, Perfect Dark, Zelda 4 Swords, and Metroid Fusions all coming to the Switch Online expansion pack. Super Mario Party Jamboree coming October 17th. Stray on Switch. Ace Attorney Investigations coming September 6th. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond trailer to 2025. I'm almost positive that's not running on a current gen Switch. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, where you get to play Zelda in it, and a new Switch Lite was announced for it. Basketball being added to Switch Sports, and the 100 line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's everything, man.
That's the entire thing. But overall, like, it seems like a lot of these announcements were overshadowed by the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Craig, is
Craig
that
thoughts?
yeah?
I'm
Craig thoughts
upset.
there. Oh, you're upset.
Why is that?
I'm upset, yeah. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is in that collection. I spent so much time playing that on Xbox, like Xbox One. And then I think it was Xbox One, delisted from the store. You can't buy it on Xbox anymore. I can't re-download it, even though I already own it. And now this collection is not coming out on Xbox.
I wonder why.
I don't know that they've said. It's just the Switch and PlayStation, so I'm a little salty about that. I mean, if I have to get it, I probably get it on PlayStation.
Yeah,
think.
That's what I would.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get it on the Switch.
But I'm a little annoyed.
I'm not a fighting game on the Switch kind of person. Did I see correctly that X-Men: Children of the Atom is in that collection? Woo!
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good game. Yep.
That's a throwback. Oh, so many childhood hours.
And a Punisher game as well is on there. Like there is, it's a big collection, and a lot of people were more excited for that than anything else.
Wow.
That came out during the Direct. So just a new Mario and Luigi game. Did you guys play the Mario and Luigi games at all? Yeah,
they're not bad.
I didn't. You're talking about Brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what do you guys think about Zelda Echoes of Wisdom? Like, I kind of want to be excited for it, but I'm very timid.
Yeah.
On that one.
I like it. I'm not overly excited, but what I am excited about is that Zelda is continuing, or the series is continuing to find ways to take what has been working recently and putting it into new content, because that had Breath of the Wild, more so Tears of the Kingdom, a portion of gameplay written all over it. So I like that they're taking what is working and what is popular, and making it different. There's at least one person that thought that the main character, Link's name in Zelda was Zelda. So the other awesome thing about this is it's really nice you get to play as Zelda, who I know has had different roles throughout the series, but like this, it's really cool seeing her main character, main character, not like the not like the Sheik, like oh I didn't know she was Sheik, like but like an actual playable main character who's the main focus.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on the combat wise, just because
Mm,
so like Zelda needs to summon something to throw it at an enemy, or it's kind of, I guess we have to see. I'm just very hesitant on what that game could be. The kind of the biggest announcement they had was the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond coming out 2025. I'm convinced that's not running on a current gen Switch.
no,
I think that is a next gen Switch game.
that's part console seller right there, is what it is.
Don't you think
Portion
that
a portion.
game, not how it looks, but like gameplay wise, don't you think it just looks dated?
It looks like Prime. Like
Yeah.
I absolutely
Hmm.
agree.
Hmm.
Um, but it
Yeah.
definitely looks more like the gameplay mechanics of what Prime was.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like I'm sure if you love Prime, you're gonna be real excited. But for somebody like me who's kind of like in the middle, I'm just like, it's kind of like a dated first person shooter concept, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard for me to get super excited about it.
yeah.
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
guess the excitement is I'm like with you, Craig, on how excited I am about the Prime series.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like it's a win for everybody who has been hearing about this game coming out as well. Like finally it's on paper.
Yeah.
But it is it did look a little dated in its visuals, and gameplay. Well, more so gameplay. So
And then for me, like Super Mario Party Jamboree is apparently their biggest Mario Party yet. Like new mini games, new boards, two older boards, two fan favorites, especially. I am I just like any reason to jump into a new Mario Party game, and this
Same.
is
agreed.
this I do have high expectations for this one. It looks like they have new mini games on it as well, so I am very
Friendships will be ruined.
yes.
Friendships. This game does ruin friendships. It's been a while since the direct. What were the boards? Did you guys see the boards, the fan favorites that are coming back?
Boards. I'm confused.
Like levels.
Levels. Is that what
Oh,
you said?
it was. Now I know what you mean. Now I didn't know what you meant then.
Yeah.
I think it's the Super Mario Party. It was the original has the train level. It's the one that originated the word hootenanny.
Oh yeah,
Apparently,
yeah.
that word
That's a good
comes
one.
from there. And
That's a
the
good
other
one.
one is like a sky level in a way. I think that's from 2 or 3. But
Okay.
those I know the two are returning. Excuse me, sorry. All right. So then just the last thing I'll leave it on. I'll let you guys kind of cover more of what's went on. Madden 25 reveal it came out and no one cared.
Yep.
Not a single soul
Nope.
cared about Madden with college football coming out this year. It it's just funny to me because it literally you can definitely tell like that Madden was going to be underwhelming because I think they're trying to it's going to look like the same game, but you're going to be playing with professional players. That's really pretty much the only thing there. I don't know. Like I've this is gonna be, I may take this year off of Madden considering I
Yep.
have college football, so that may be a choice for me. But then we're gonna run into the fact that if Madden fails, like big time here, do they do something where they do a bi-yearly release between college football and Madden,
Ooh.
where 1 year is college, 1 year is Madden, 1 year college, 1 year
No
Madden
way.
to give longer. I know they shouldn't. I
I
agree,
yeah.
but I just feel like longer development cycles for both games would help them keep it fresh.
Yeah. I
That's an
think
idea.
I think they're relying heavily on people buying that combo, like the Madden and college football together. I think that's where they're going to hope they get a lot of it. But I mean, everybody's pumped for college football, so it's a good time to kind of sneak out. Like, yeah, we didn't really do anything this year with Madden, so let's just put it out and hope that people play college football and they're like, hey, I also want to play NFL. I tend to just wait till about halfway through the season when it drops on Game Pass,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
and then I
Black
just play
Friday
it.
prices.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, and if they want people to buy the combo, they should really allow you to integrate the players that you play in college into Madden. You could spend literally 6 months
Yeah.
between both games, like building a player from like
That's a
from
legal thing, though. Didn't they say that? It was like a
oh,
Yeah.
legal issue that they're not allowed
right.
to.
That's
If they
right.
could, I would buy both. Like, I'll buy both day one if they figure that out.
Yeah.
I'll buy the combo pack because I want to. That's what I want. I want to do a 4-year college career and then move them right over into Madden. Like, I would love to do that. We did get more college football stuff, though.
Yeah, we did. The gameplay presentation, like the more tradition type stuff.
Yep.
A lot of Penn State this
Yeah.
time around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got the
Definitely.
Michigan recreation there. That was great.
Mm.
Yeah, there was a lot of like different, and it's nice that kind of Kirk Herbstreit kind of goes into like they took detail to try and put in every school.
Yeah.
Every school's tradition that they could make, they wanted to make. So we saw Clemson going down the hill. The Gator touch for the Florida.
Notre Dame with the sign.
Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Yep.
Notre Dame with the sign. We've also already seen Florida State with the
Yeah.
throwing the spear at the center of the field. So
How far away are we from that?
July.
When this comes out, it's 2 weeks. That's it.
Woo!
When this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks,
Oh wow.
and that's for early access because it
So-
comes out the 17th.
Oh, okay.
So, quick recap for all of us. What consoles are we buying it on? Barry, you're buying multiple?
I will have it on both.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
I'm buying on PlayStation. What about you, Craig?
PlayStation.
Okay. All right, cool. Fair enough. I just wanted to know.
No, I love the console recap. We should do
Mhm.
that more often. All right, console recap. All right.
It's true.
But I will let you guys go into the other news this week then.
Okay. Couple small ones first here. We got a very, very short trailer, but a Dead Rising remaster? Hell yeah. Let me
Yeah.
play that game again. I love the first Dead Rising. I don't know how many times I've beaten that game. That was my very first Xbox 360 game I ever purchased. I had a special place in my heart for that game. Did you guys play
Fantastic.
with that game or not?
No.
Really?
Nah, I don't think no.
They haven't really done a whole lot like that since. Like, that game is literally like drop you in the mall. It's a set time limit. It's not like, you do this and then it advances. It's days. You're there for like 7 days. That's it. So whatever you get done in that time is what you get done, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
It's a very good game. We had a rating for Time Splitters, hinting that it might be coming to PlayStation Plus. I want Time Splitters so bad again.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. That's
Yep.
a classic.
Let's see. Far Cry 7, third person.
What?
Yep, will allow you to go third person. Does that make you any more interested in the game?
I don't know. We have to see the setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has there been anything yet? No, right? As far as setting?
Mm-mm.
Who was in it, though? Didn't they say somebody was in it? I'm blanking.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I thought there was like a big name attached to it, but I could be wrong.
Let's see.
While you look that up, we had in the I Told You So news once again, Sony's making very, very deep cuts again to the VR division. I think we can all say told you so with the PlayStation VR 2. I just noticed the other day when I was going through PlayStation Plus that there's VR games on there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of cool. Like, if you were to buy a PlayStation VR 2 right now, or maybe if it goes on sale, there were some decent games when I was looking through there. But I'm still not buying it.
Mm-mm.
What's the price that would make you buy it? If they,
I don't know.
if they
That
drop
it's.
What's it at now? 500?
I
400?
was to say, for me, it'd probably have to be like $100.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 99.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then at that point, no one's buying it at that point. So
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think I'd buy it for 100. Just to
I would
have it.
I would buy it for 100.
Man.
By
Go ahead.
the way, the Far Cry 7 thing, I don't see a definite. There was news and then quickly shot down news that Cillian Murphy was going
That's
to be
what it
starring
was.
in it.
Yep. Okay.
But
That's who I
I'm
was
seeing that
thinking.
I'm seeing that people are like, no, it's not. It hasn't been announced yet.
Okay.
So they're telling people to calm down.
Okay. And then my last thing that I have is like the bigger one here. I have two different YouTube dramas. I'm sure you guys can guess which one of them is, but I'll start with the second one because they both relate to uh, YouTube channels that I heavily watch. So the first one is, I don't know if you guys have heard of Braille, the skateboarding company, at all. So
Mm-mm.
they're big on teaching people how to skateboard. They'll do like every year they do a 30-day challenge to learn how to kickflip. That
Okay.
they have like, hey, if you want to join, and every day they'll send you a video like to your email. But Braille is, I watch so many of their videos. They have their own warehouse that they built to skate in. There's been a lot going on with Braille. The owner, Aaron Cairo, is heavily involved with Scientology. And
Mm.
there's been a mass exodus of skaters from the Braille team that have left in the past probably 3 to 6 months. And the
Oh wow.
few that were still there, one of them, his name is Nigel Jones, put a video up on Instagram, I believe, yesterday. And he went to the warehouse and it was just all torn apart. Like all the ramps are gone. It's just thrown in the trash. And he put a video up about, like, basically saying like, hey, it would have been nice to be able to skate it one more time, be able to say goodbye, even like a thank you for helping build this YouTube channel for the past 10 years. There's just a lot going on with Aaron Cairo, the owner, not paying the people who are in the videos because so he could give more money to Scientology. There's a lot going on there. It's a big rabbit hole you can go into, but as somebody who
Wow.
watched a lot of Braille videos, it's kind of a sad thing to see.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
Um,
course.
just so he could ascend the Scientology ladder. I forget what his title is now, but it's like you have to have given over like, I think it's like $500,000 to get to like a certain level that he's at.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one, which I'm sure you guys know is coming, is the whole Doctor Disrespect thing that dropped this
Yes.
week. Um, there's a lot, there's a lot going in on this, but the
Yeah.
main thing I wanted to say is, I've seen a lot of back and forth as far as like right or wrong, yes or no. At the end of the day, this man did admit that he knew this person was a minor and continued to talk to
Mm-hmm.
them in a sexual way. So at the end of the day, that man can burn in hell. Um,
Agreed.
I've watched so much Doctor Disrespect. I even had Doctor Disrespect merch. You'll notice that they're all gone behind me here.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to see because when it first dropped, your first thought is kind of, hold on, like what's going on? Let's get the whole story. But when he came out and put a tweet out and said that yes, he did know the person was a minor, and that it did, in his words, leaned inappropriate. In my mind, that doesn't matter. Like you knew they were underage, you were still
Yeah.
talking to them that way. Now there has been other stuff that's been kind of going back and forth recently, as far as um, former Twitch employees maybe have were trying to like entrap him and act like they were underage. At the end of the day, that could be the case, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that he, in his mind, whether they were underage or not, he thought they were and continued to talk to them that way. So I don't think it excuses it in any way. And it's also been nice seeing all the people that played with him also coming out and being like, no, we're
Yeah.
not going to stand up for him. Think of like Tim the Tap Man.
Tim the Tab Man.
Even though
Ninja.
yeah, Ninja, even though he's not a good dude, Nick Merckx as well. He
Nick
just
Merckx.
he just got banned as well. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but that man is
Yeah.
like, I hope his career is done. I don't want to see him come back.
Yeah, to add to that, my wife and I were waiting for somebody in particular to speak up because I mean, not everybody that plays with Doc is a good person, but there's a
Right.
guy named Z Laner.
Yep.
We watch his channel because we used to watch him with Doc, and he was significantly better
Mm-hmm.
most of the time
Yep.
than Doc. Um, there was a summer 2 years ago that my wife and I were really into his videos. It was post not this past Call of Duty, but the one before. So we watched him, and then we watched into him playing Warzone 2. And like for some reason we just stopped. But we had like a brief period that we were really, really watching his video and his content like live,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, deplorable. It's really nice to see people who do associate with him. Like essentially, I think almost everybody is just denouncing it and coming together because that's that's deplorable behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Deplorable. So,
I haven't seen
um,
anybody stick up for him.
no, so
And the people
Yeah.
that are doing it in kind of backwards ways that don't
Yeah.
that don't really add or help
Right.
Yeah.
the
Right.
situation anyway. Um, I just I feel bad for his family. I don't
Mhm.
know, like I had to imagine his wife and like his wife. I'm not sure if his kid is old enough to know, but she had to have known that this happened
Yes.
when he got banned.
She
So she
knew.
must have accepted this already, and like I have a feeling that that family will still stay together because they stayed through it the first time, and we're also
Mm,
kind of bringing up dirt from years ago at this point.
yeah.
We are.
So
Yep.
it's one of those things where now that we know it, it's very deplorable and everything like that. But his family, I guess, will probably make it through this.
Yeah, and let's be honest, he's probably going to come back, right? He's probably going to stream. If it's not YouTube, it'll probably be Kick.
I
I
saw
Kick said they weren't going to ban him.
yeah,
It
Um,
would be Kick if
yeah.
anything.
Yeah. I
I saw a
mean,
funny thing
yeah.
where somebody was saying he should just ditch the entire Doctor Disrespect thing
Yep.
and just come in as like a regular person
As
and be like,
himself.
"Who's Doctor
Yeah.
Disrespect?"
Yep.
And that kind of thing.
Right.
And I was watching his stream live the day that everything, well, the day after, because that news broke, and then everybody was like, all right, he's set to stream on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday of this past
Yeah,
week. So I had it on like in the background, and I was just to kind of see like what he was going to say, and he said he wasn't going to say anything, obviously. And I mean, it'll probably go down in history, but the moment where he checks his phone,
Yeah.
he's playing Elden Ring, and he's like super into it, and he's like, all right, we're gonna go here. You see him look down at his phone, and then his whole tone changes. And I'm where everybody's kind of assuming that's when his the game company he was working with, Midnight Society, texted him to
yeah.
drop him. He's
Yeah.
also been dropped by Turtle Beach. His monetization on YouTube has been paused. I'm trying to think if
Hmm.
anybody else dropped him. I think Mountain Dew. I believe he's still on their website, as far as I know. And he has FanDuel is another one. The 49ers did come out and say that they were not going to work with him anymore.
Yeah.
But he's going to
And
lose everything.
and I don't know if anybody's still playing Road Company because I am, but you can't get his skin anymore. They took it out. They're not even
Yep.
doing maintenance on the game, and they're taking his skin out.
NBA
So
2K said the next update they'll take him out of the game because he was in the game. I don't know if you guys ever saw him. I did.
yeah, I remember when he was playing it as himself. He loved that.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. But yeah, I think it's in his best interest to fully step away and not come back. But knowing him, he'll probably just wait 6 months and then reappear somewhere. And he's gonna have a following. You know he will. I mean, just kind of going through his subreddit this past week, there's so many people still supporting him.
Hmm.
And it's the dumbest reasons of like, oh well, maybe she was 17. Like it makes it better somehow. But yeah, such a disappointment. But again,
Yeah, really.
that's why you don't idolize people for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, that's all
Yeah,
I
for
had.
sure. All right, I had just one additional thing. It's gonna kind of be a half rant, but just like kind of half how the news has been going. Um, as the Elden Ring fan here, we know that Elden Ring dropped Friday the 21st. Um, what we didn't know, or at least people like me couldn't have imagined, is that it actually dropped to mixed reviews. Now, partial to the now, when I say mixed reviews, I mean the public, because it was already receiving like higher accolades from like reviewers. But the portion of the issue was the PC performance. Many people experienced lag, long loading screens. There was like a bunch of different things that were going on for PC specifically, but a lot of the negative, I guess, review backlash came from people thinking that the Elden Ring DLC was too hard. That was partially why it was getting review bombed on Steam, which I guess is kind of leading me. It won't be a Craig rant because you got some great rants, Craig, but it kind of leads me into the next thing that I wanted to mention. This is a From Software DLC of a From Software game.
Yep.
And I, as a person who likes to play From Software games, understand why people don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. There is a certain amount of difficulty, whether it's Sekiro, whether it's Dark Souls, that you are walking into when you purchase, try, or even turn on the game. I don't know if people remember the DLC from Bloodborne, but it was crazy. It had arguably one of the hardest
Yeah, it
bosses
did.
at the time. At the time in video games, it had arguably one of the hardest bosses at the end of it. It's a From Software game. Now, the normal From Software Elden Ring takes about, I don't know, 60 to 100 and zillion hours to complete, depending on how much you explore. This is, with a linear path, can be a 10-hour game. So, of course, unlike the original Elden Ring, where you get some light difficulty to medium, maybe more, for a From Software game, and then they bump it up, they don't have the time to be able to do that. So like I'll talk about it more in my initial speaking of the game, when we get to like the games that we played these last 2 weeks. But it's just very interesting to me that that's where people are going, because in order to play the DLC, you have had to have gone through the trials, tribulations, turmoil, blood, sweat, tears of the actual Elden Ring game.
Yep.
So what are we talking about here, people? I think that they did their best, and I'll go into like the system of managing that difficulty when we get into it. But like they did their best to find that system so that they could have people have the game, and then also that the DLC can be manageable still. Now, aftermath of the review bombing, since then there's been like, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of like, as of this recording, it is now mostly positive on Steam. It was mixed. Now it's mostly positive. I think people had time to let it marinate, and that actual reviews are coming in that are outside of it being too hard. But for a while there, it was like, what are we doing here? Because I don't know, it's rare that a From Software game gets like that terrible of reviews. Mixed for them on Steam is terrible. But I have to say it again, since I spent a long time ranting about my feelings, that there was a PC issue for a lot of people for the PC version. I don't know what you guys think. I know that there's various From Software, how many we played type games in this podcast, but like that was a thing that happens.
Do you think that they're at the point where, like, every time a From Software game comes out, I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like it's like, hey, we need to make this one harder than the last one. So do you think there's a point where they're going to just get to impossible because they keep ramping it up each time?
They do keep ramping it up.
Because Elden Ring, I think of all the ones I've played, I would say Elden Ring is the most difficult.
See, and I would say Sekiro was the
Okay.
most difficult.
Okay.
But like just from what I've seen personally, like, and to be fair, we're gonna talk about it. I've started playing Elden Ring again in an attempt
Hey, me too.
to try
Ooh.
and like probably get to the DLC. I just see so many people playing it and they're having a ton of fun, so
Yeah.
part of me wants to play it too. But I kind of hate the argument like that that's like that this is hardest or the hardest thing that they've done. Like Sekiro, you either parried or you died.
Mhm.
Like that was it.
Yeah,
And
that's
in
it.
Bloodborne, I think his name is Victor, son of Orn, or something like that. At the end of the DLC, that boss felt like ramming my head against a wall
I
more than anything else.
yes, I wanted to
More than
destroy
anything
everything I
else.
loved playing that boss.
I have to admit, coming back to Elden Ring, it hasn't been as busy, but I just hate the whole fact that it's like everyone's complaining that it's too hard. Like the the difficulty of this game kind of makes sense, and I hate to say it lore wise. It makes sense that it is more difficult than the base game, but also get good.
Get good. Get
Like
good.
fix your builds, kind of find a way to find a way to make it work for you. But it feels like they get, and this happens almost with every Dark Souls game that comes out. I feel like, well, the ones that they release, I'm pretty sure like there was a lot of people saying Sekiro was too hard. There was a lot of people saying Dark Souls 3 was too
Mm.
hard. Like Elden Ring first wasn't seen as that hard because you could open world, go around, do other things, and then play the game. You could do the same thing in this game. If you're stuck on a boss, then go back to the base world and find something to kill. and get stronger. Like I don't much understand the whole oh no this is too hard. like you gotta work through it. You know, you gotta come back to the boss at a later point and kill something later. Like if you kill every single boss in the base Elden Ring game, you should be more than enough level to come in and at least stand a chance against most of these guys.
Fair.
That's fair. And skill, I mean, skill alone, because yeah, and we'll talk about it in the game. But yeah, I see your point, Bear.
I don't know.
That's all I
But
had.
ready to talk about games this week then, everyone?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I got farther into Death Stranding. I have restarted Elden Ring as of today, and Luigi's Mansion 2
Yeah.
Okay.
HD. How about you guys?
I have that one. I have not started it yet. I started the Beyond Good and Evil remaster. Yeah. I played through Still Wakes the Deep. And
Oh,
then a
okay.
little bit of Elden Ring.
Okay. I played through more so Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, and it's been Elden Ring since like last Friday. So those are
So
my
have
two.
you finished the DLC?
I have not.
Fair.
Are you at like any of the major bosses?
I am through. So I beat the first what I thought was major boss until I read online that entire place was optional. It wasn't even. It wasn't even part of like the area you have to do to beat the DLC. And then I got through what would be considered the main area. It's classified as a minor dungeon, but you need to beat it. You could actually, I read you can go around it, but you need to beat it in order to get to the second main area in the DLC. And
Okay.
I'm kind of in that area doing my thing,
Fair.
with my stuff.
Cool. All right. So I guess I'll talk about my stuff first, just because it is kind of the older of all of them. Uh, Death Stranding. I am starting to get it, starting to like it
Me
a little
too.
bit more. I'm now at the second area as
I love
well.
this.
The exoskeleton really like changed it because you're able to run faster. You're able to do more. Uh, I did have struggle at one point trying to get to the last like area before, and then you have to face the boss at the shoreline there. My bike is now lost to the sands of time, but
Oh
so
no.
so be it. But like the game is starting to grow on me. The characters are starting to grow on me a little more. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm going to try and keep playing this game while I still can.
So would you say you're locked in, Barry?
The problem is Elden Ring.
Yeah.
The problem is Elden Ring.
I started Elden Ring today and I haven't put it down.
Yeah, it'll do that. It'll do that.
I've been like I know you said this last time, Barry, but like I've just been vibing with Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Just like taking it easy and walking around. I have been kind of avoiding the dropped shipments in the world.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
kind of like
absolutely.
meh.
Yeah.
I don't. It really doesn't give you that much. So I just tend to leave it there and just take whatever my main cargo is,
Mhm.
because they give you so much stuff when you're doing a mission. That's like, all right, take these 18 things, strap them onto yourself. Then I'm already like stumbling up and down the cliffs. So, but
Yeah.
I do like it a lot more than the first 2 or 3 times I tried to play it.
It's a weird game, and like
Yeah.
it's sometimes you can't explain how it's grown on you.
Yep.
Like when I first played it, I was rushing. Actually, what inevitably made me stop playing it was I didn't stick to the main mission, but I was rushing to in the beginning because like when you get to a scene that's like classic Hideo, like
Yep.
part of the story, it's like oh snap, like they're pretty good, but there's that time in between, you know.
Yep.
How do you guys feel about the now that you're playing it again? Those I forget what they're called, but like the enemies in the overworld that just materialize out of
So
nowhere.
they're kind of a pushover.
Yeah.
Are you talking about BTs or are you talking
Beat.
about the guys that scan your items and then start
Oh, I'm talking
running
about
at you?
I'm talking about BTS.
I still feel like they're a little unfair, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest. Like you're the only way to see them is to hold your breath,
Right.
and then you kind of have to plan your route accordingly. But you can only see
Mm.
so far when you hold your breath. So you kind of have to
Mm,
get past them, hold your breath again. Like it just brings everything to a really slow standstill when I was like when you first get the bike before I lost it, like I was able to just blast right through
yeah.
the BTs there. But it is like it forces you to stop and like think, and sometimes ruins the flow because it's not like it's that those BTs are always there as far as I can tell.
Yep.
I don't think you get to just I don't think there's a way to get rid of it. So
Mm,
at that point I don't necessarily like them or like that part of the game because I can't like plan a route, and it would be nice to be able to plan a route when they're not there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable.
And then the baby's crying, and that's so annoying coming
Oh,
through
the
the
baby
controller.
crying.
I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god, shut up! Just want to take the baby off and throw it.
I forgot about the baby
Oh
crying.
my god, it's so annoying.
But then do you want to talk about a little bit our experience with getting back into Elden Ring, Craig?
Yeah, I guess more so. I Here's a question I have for you guys. So I reinstalled it earlier this week, and I loaded up my save because I believe I talked about before this. I started over and I got through that first boss.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when I loaded up, I was in a castle. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember what the castle's called, but I started walking around there and I was like, oh, I'm at a point now where I'm kind of like hard stuck because the enemies are like a lot higher level than I am. But where I had rested going back, they're also a lot higher level. So I'm just kind of like stuck. I can't really go anywhere. So I just kind of was like, well, do I start over again? Or you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I've played this time. I was just like, I'm gonna go straight forward, like sword and shield. Like that's what I did in Demon Souls, and that's what I had the most fun with. But now, like when I watch other people play, I was like, should I go with like some sort of like magic build? Because it seems like a lot of people have fun with those. I
That
don't know.
that's what a lot of people would want you to go with. Like it's just kind of up to you and how you want to play. Like definitely lately it's been the fist class.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like pure strength that people are really liking. Like
Mm,
personally I'm like you. Like I have a sword and shield, but my one sword is scales based off of intelligence, which is used for magic. So
Okay.
like
mm,
there's some magic stuff I can do, but I rarely use it ever.
Okay.
So it really is dependent on how you want to play, and like you said, you feel stuck in that kind of thing.
Yep.
The only thing I could tell you is there are so many guides out now. Look for optional caves and dungeons to get like better weapons that might help you out more. Like
yeah.
I got the Moonveil sword. I think pretty early on in the game. I think you get it slightly after the second boss, and
Yeah.
I've been using that since. That weapon alone is just nuts. So
Barry, I'm still using that weapon.
yeah, he knows.
I'm still
Fair.
like that's that yeah, so like there's certain ones that are early, mid and late game. And to Barry's point, there's so many builds out there. I could send you a website that has like different guides and stuff depending on how long you want to play cuz like it's all about the freaking build.
Yeah.
Dex builds are popular because they like focus on a lot of weapons that cause the bleed effect,
Mm-hmm.
which is like popular. I Spellblade, which is essentially just freaking katana, moonveil, and some type of staff that I've collected over the course of the game. So like that's a popular one because you got the range spelled. But I switch between builds because that boss you're talking about, Barry, like I couldn't do Spellblade during that boss
Yeah.
because of like them. But I don't know. It's all about like what you want to do. But like there's so many freaking guides out. If you like, you could spend another 120 hours researching
Mm-hmm.
just who you want to be in that game in terms of like your stats and everything. So
Makes sense. Yeah, I was stuck because I was like, all right, do I I'm sure you guys remember, but like there are like the birds that have the barrels that they drop.
Yeah.
mm,
Yep.
That's where I'm at. And then
got it.
there's like the knights, and there is a boss in there that I haven't gotten to yet.
You're on
But
PS5 or Xbox.
Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd
So
help.
yeah.
I'm on
And
Yeah,
that's the
same.
thing. And I was like, so I played it for like an hour and I was getting nowhere. And I was like, do I just sit here and like farm these birds and try to level up more? Because the knights are like, like one or two hits, I'm dead. So I'm like, okay, well then I'm severely underpowered. for these guys, obviously. So yeah, it's just kind of it. That's what made me stop playing Elden Ring originally. Was like I like to play those games without looking up guides if I can, because I just like
Yeah.
to like experience it and like let me just play the way I want to play. But Elden Ring, for whatever reason, is like if you don't use those, they're just going to be like, nope, you're dead. You know what I mean? Like there is no wiggle room really.
Hmm.
And you just, it's why I stopped before. I just get to a point. I'm like, well, I'm hard stuck now. I can't go back. I can't go forward. I'm
Yeah.
just going to continuously die over and over again. So I remembered why I stopped playing. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got through like 6 bosses today,
Mhm.
and like I just got finally kind of stuck on one, and it's like, but I got through 5. I got through 7, 6 bosses. Like I mean, that's good.
That is
That's
good.
it's good stuff.
Yeah.
No.
It's a hard work. It's a hard day's work. It's a nice 8-hour shift.
Yeah, nice 8 hour shift.
That's hilarious.
But
Um,
Luigi's Mansion
Yeah.
is
yeah, go
going to be
ahead.
the last thing that I have. Craig, did you play Luigi's Mansion 2 at all when
Yeah.
it was on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Is it the
so
same?
it really is the same. I never played the original one, so I was
Okay.
interested in getting into this one. I kind of like the simplified pace of it, whereas Luigi's Mansion 3 tries to do, all of like the 2-player Gooigi,
Yeah.
whatever they call him. So like the puzzles are a bit more complex, but I kind of like this simplified version of Luigi's Mansion. Like it's one of these games where you can just kind of relax to, and you know it's not really a scary game all things considered, but it's just a
Right.
matter of finding ghosts, light puzzle solving, and sucking the ghosts up.
And coins.
Sucking them up.
Lots
And
of
Yeah,
coins.
coins.
coins. Yeah,
I'm excited to try it. I just it showed up when I was out of town, so I haven't been able
yeah,
to try it yet.
yeah.
Okay. So Beyond Good and Evil remaster. It's not a remake. It looks slightly better. Um I know it's very well known. It's one of my favorite games. I believe I streamed the entire game at one point, at least once. Um, little changes here and there to make it more accessible, which is always good. Kind of reminds me of the Alan Wake
Yeah.
remaster that they did. But I think I've bought in Beyond Good and Evil like 3 or 4 different ways now. So I always do in hopes that they will finish the second one. But it is a lot of the same. If you haven't played it, I would highly recommend it. It's a great platformer, adventure platformer type game that I don't think gets enough respect. So I mean, it's like was it $25, I think, or
Yeah.
20, something like that. So it's not like a huge investment. Still Wakes the Deep is on Game
Yes.
Pass, which is where I played it. It's also on every other console, pretty much. Takes probably about 6 to 7 hours to beat.
Okay.
It's one of those. Technically, I would consider it a horror game. I think it's kind of light on the horror. It's a no combat type of game. I saw a lot of people calling it like a horror walking simulator. Um, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was done extremely well. I like kind of walking around this oil rig, and you have those sections where you have to kind of play hide and seek with the monsters to get around them and do different objectives, which is always fun. I wouldn't say it's overly scary. There's some moments where like chase sequences where it's running after you, but they're pretty straightforward as far as like you know where to go, just run.
Hmm.
So, but I think the story is where it shines. It's done extremely well, extremely well. The characters are all really cool. 100% if you have Game Pass, check it out. It's worth your time easily. And I had a blast. Beat it in about 2 days, I think.
Okay.
So I just went like right
Yeah.
into it.
I was looking at that one.
It's real
That
good.
caught my eye.
It might end up on my list this year. We'll see. There's a lot of games coming out, so I don't want to like
A lot of
say
games.
yes.
There's a lot of games.
All right, give us that Elden Ring review.
Oh, yes. So Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. When I kicked it up, so yeah, there's like a couple of things you have to do in order to get to it. So I loaded up my game. I thought that I accidentally did. I know I texted you guys about this. I thought I accidentally started a new game, which is not good because when you do that, you have to play the entire game and do those couple of things to get back. So I started it a couple of days earlier in prep just to make sure that I was there. I even put myself in by the by the site of grace, right where you do transport yourself into the DLC. I started it up, classic Elden Ring. So I go through the portal into the DLC. I look to my left. It's like a big open plain area. There's nothing there yet. I see some birds on like some archways or some trees on the left. And I see one little thing on an archway on the right. And I have to make a decision. Do I go left or do I go right? Well, I had some bad experiences with some birds in Elden Ring. If you went to Caelid, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I was like, F birds, going to the right. And I see this enemy that I can see. It's not doing a good job hiding, but I get into the area that clearly triggers it seeing me, destroys me. Level 143, definitely enough to have me beat all of the bosses in the other game. Just destroys me in the first game, and I was like, "That's Elden Ring." So, um, you get good, and it has a great level, a great level setup, and the leveling system in this one is you collect these thing called Tree. I don't know if I'm
Hmm.
saying that right, but you collect those fragments. Those are the fragments in the DLC that are supposed to allow you to scale correctly with the difficulty of the DLC. If you transport to any site of grace or go back to the original Elden Ring game, those buffs go away. So that's
Oh,
how they do it.
okay.
So it really doesn't matter collecting. It does, but it really doesn't matter collecting the original form of leveling up that you do in the original Elden Ring game, because these fragments definitely help you immensely in
Okay.
comparison. So for the people that think it's too hard, go find those fragments, because I tried. There's a boss that's like within, I don't know, 5 minutes of where you land, and I know it's a popular one because if you look it up online, he's like destroying everybody, including myself. He destroyed me a couple of times. I went out, I found some of those fragments. I came back 3, 4 hours of gameplay later. Damn, immediately just out. So that's how they changed the system. I think it's effective because it allows people like me, for example, like the reason why I haven't beaten this game, this DLC, gentlemen, is I found out there was something that I missed in the Elden Ring game because it's so vast that I wanted to get to make my character stronger. So when I left the DLC to go get that to help me prepare for the next wave of the DLC, that's where all my buffs leave. I'm able to go back and still just play the game as normal. And I think that's a good system. You can kind of just leave, come back, leave, come back. It's just like you're transporting yourself to any other site of grace on the map. Level wise, it's great, in terms of like how everything looks. There's still there's some reskins, like some old enemies that come back in, which I know is ticking a couple of people off, but they definitely have a lot of new enemies. They definitely have some oh my god, I forget what that first guy who destroys everybody in the original game is. Um but they definitely have some like you can't fight this thing right now, like enemies kind of roaming around. But I mean, the first boss is dope. I like the design. He's tough. It seems a little unfair, but you just got to get better. Um but it's definitely has its charm. The other thing that they did that I liked is there's not just like caves. Like you wander off, you go into some caves. That's kind of like the brand of the Elden Ring. You get something, there's a mini boss there, you beat it, you go back to the front, whatever. There's like different mini areas. You could tell that they tried to switch it up. There's like a forge now, like labeled as a forge instead, it's not just a cave anymore. So they have some things that you could tell that they've done to switch it up. The story, classic from software. It's vague. You got to listen to character dialogue, but no none of the characters like to speak for a long time either. But it's got an interesting take. I don't want to ruin it because I know people are playing Elden Ring to get to it, and it is tied to the previous story and a major character in the previous story. But it's interesting. It's good. It's classic Elden Ring. I still love it. It brought me back to why the reason why I love the first one. Definitely a lot of talking to myself during those crucial parts where you're like, why is this game so hard? Still that's what I want, because you still get that same feeling for beating a From Software boss that destroyed you. So I like it. I like it a lot. So I don't know where it's going to end up on my list, but it's going to end up somewhere. And
Okay.
because I didn't play the PC version and our lists are based off of the one we played, it's going to end up somewhere on my list.
Yeah.
Fair. Sweet.
All right. Is there any other games we want to talk about before we get into movies and TV shows?
Nope. Not for
All
me.
right. For me this week, I binged the entire season 3 of The Bear.
Oh wow, I only watched the first episode. And boy, what an episode.
Yeah.
Very controversial. Okay, so I watched the movie If, Imaginary Friends.
Mm.
I watched Furiosa, and last week actually, but we didn't record last week. I made an hour trip with my daughter to go see Right Here, Right Now, which is the concert movie for the band Ghost.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So I unfortunately did not watch any of The Bear yet. I watched a couple of episodes of The Boys.
Okay.
But I know that that's not finished yet, so we
Yeah.
could just wait and do like the full thing when we're done with it. But I watched a movie called Stop Motion.
Yeah.
And I watched Monkey Man.
Hey, Monkey Man.
Hey.
All right, we've covered a lot of bases here.
We have.
I could go through
How
Monkey
about
Man maybe
you
because that's
start?
all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead and
for it.
start.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave The Boys out again because like we could just watch it and talk more about it when we're finished. So Stop Motion and Monkey Man. I'll start with Monkey Man first because it's I guess older. You weren't kidding, Craig. It's this year's John Wick.
Oh yeah.
So the one thing that I'm going to say that I like about the movie, and specifically Dev Patel, is I did not realize that he produced it, wrote it, like the whole nine. Jordan Peele's on there too in production, which I liked as well
Right.
to see. So there's a lot of issues that's tackled in this movie, but like one of the things that I like is that classic politicians creating more poverty kind of thing. Politicians like a greater power that is clearly just trying to forward their own objectives, increase their own money, and then you have Dev Patel's character that has a past connected to that.
Yep.
And just like an unimaginable willpower to just do whatever he can to just right that wrong that happens. And they do a good job of peppering in that story so that you keep that motivation there. Which I liked because he's doing these things. And the last thing I'll say, Craig, is like the one thing that I really really enjoyed about this movie, John Wick, which I'm sorry to use as a comparison, but John Wick comes with all the skills from day one that you see. You see it through all of the Wicks, all through John Wick 4. You're like, this guy's just Superman,
Yep.
Dev Patel's character, the kid in Monkey Man, is unpolished.
Yep.
And I like that in the beginning. So like where you see him towards the end when he's doing these cool things, you're like, okay, I saw how he got there. And I remember when he thought he could do that and he couldn't do it right. Like he couldn't complete it, he couldn't execute it properly in terms of like that fighting style or that chase scene. Even that part, it doesn't ruin it when he thinks he can just jump through the window.
Yep.
And
it
he
just
doesn't.
bounces off.
Yeah, and like so there's two types of journeys you see his character go through, and it's the one psychologically where he becomes a more polished person, but then also when he hones his craft of like the physical part that he's going to need in order to topple the bad guys in here. So great film. It's going to be somewhere on a list.
How'd you feel
for me.
about the near the end, the scene when they're in like the bar with the music?
Oh
my
man,
God, it's done so well.
it's done so well.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of small like camera work
Yep.
portions that I like. There's one scene, and again, doesn't ruin it, but he's fighting a guy. The guy tries to cut him with an axe, and then they position the camera to the other side of Dev Patel, and then at the same time, he like moves his head, and the guy moves the axe through the wall.
Yep.
And like it's done at such a nice pace that like it's very very pleasing to see, in terms of like how that was shot. And there's other things that they do throughout it, but yeah, that scene, holy cow.
That's like the culmination of everything.
Yeah,
And it's just great.
it is great. High quality film. I would watch it. I forget, what did I watch it on? Is that Max? I think it's free
I
on
think it's on
Max.
Max. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
buy
free
it
on.
on 4K for sure.
Yeah, which by the way, that's the reason I haven't bought and watched. Oh my god, Mad Max yet, because
Oh,
I have it on 4K coming
gotcha.
pre-ordered. But
It is out. Monkey Man is out in 4K.
Yes, it is.
Just in
yeah,
case.
I just
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
picked it up yet. Yep,
All right,
But
I can go. I'll talk about the
yeah,
bear.
go for it.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Uh, just with the bear season 3, I do want to say that this season is not as good as season 1 and 2. Just me personally. Season 3 takes a lot of time to explain how characters got to where they are. Their time before they met Carmi. So there are these kind of one-off episodes where you kind of learn where a lot of the chefs are coming from and how it's different.
Mm,
Um, I just feel like at this point, like the the triangle that is like trying to get this restaurant, like they always nail the stress of a restaurant. Like I'm
Mhm.
always like happy to see like how they nail the restaurant atmosphere for the most part. But I forget who Ebon Chance or Ebon plays as. I forget his character's name. I'm gonna have to look it up here. But Carmi kind of takes a back seat to a lot of what's going on this season. And the only time anybody ever talks to Carmi is when uh they're talking about, well, what'd you do to Claire? Why why did you say those things to Claire is pretty much what everyone continues to yell at him
Richie,
for. Yeah,
Richie. Yeah,
Richie, or
Richie.
cousin.
cousin.
That's what I love. That's what I
But
know him as.
but like between Carmen and Richie, like both of them, like they're I feel like at some points they're just yelling at each other for the sake of yelling at each other. Like
Mm,
it's just no F you, no F you, no how about you F yourself? No, you F yourself. And it's like, come on.
Yep.
Like there has to be something else that they could do with their time other than that. Like IO gets a ton of screen time, which is nice to see. Sugar, there is one episode with Sugar and and Mother that is just it is 35 to 45 minutes of just like I am involved. It's kind of like the flashback with the kitchen scene. Um I put this on levels with that.
okay.
And I don't want to spoil what that is. But just overall, like there's a lot of satisfying points for this. There's definitely other characters that get more screen time than another. But there's a lot of people like Elboy. You kind of get he's kind of dealing with the aftermath of what happened to his mom in season 2, and he really never resolves, or we never see him finally grow from it. It's just this constant he's trying to figure out how to go through it, and there's no satisfying conclusion to that. And other than that, a lot of the other characters we at least get to know more about how they got there, but not
Mm,
really how they're doing or how things are going for them.
okay.
So I watched the first episode, and then the first thing I did is I had to look up people's thoughts on it because I was so like, did I can't decide if I liked it or not. I think I did. It's just very different.
It is,
It's
yeah,
like a
but that's the
very artistic episode,
yes,
you know?
yeah.
But
That's the only episode that's like that. It's not
okay.
like that the entire
I
season.
didn't mind it because you get Carmi's whole background,
Yeah,
like his whole backstory of how he ended up where he was and all that. And it was cool seeing all those characters from the first season come back, like Joel McHale's character as the chef that was just the most obnoxious chef in the world to him.
Oh yeah.
But all of that was great. But yeah, it's very. I've noticed too in general. It's like there's no middle ground on this season. It seems like you either love it or you hate it.
Mm.
So you're in the. Are you in the love side? You just don't think it's as good as the other two, or maybe you are in the middle.
I think I am in the middle because
Okay.
the ending is really I find the ending kind of lackluster, especially like they could have ended it a frame or a scene earlier, but they continue to go on
Okay.
instead. And you'll see what I mean
Okay.
when you watch it. It's definitely still
Mm.
worth a watch. It is definitely still some of the best like dramatized TV show you can watch,
Right.
and everyone plays their roles spectacularly.
Okay.
But I definitely feel like this season wanes a little bit on the quality and like what you want to see from the characters.
Okay. I'm excited to
Fair.
finish it for sure. Did you have another one, Craig, before I get to mine?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Stop motion.
Yeah. That's right.
Mhm.
I knew it was one of
Uh,
those. What'd you think?
so stop motion is a pretty artsy film.
Yeah.
It's essentially about a woman who has a famous mom who works in the stop motion field. Has had like an amazing career, but she's kind of like that mom from Cinderella, like the stepmom, where she is currently making a movie with her daughter and is just berating her. And you could tell that that's been her life. All right. So this happens in the first 10 minutes, so it really doesn't matter. The mom has ends up having a stroke and kind of leaves the daughter with the daughter chooses to continue the film. And the best way that I can describe this movie is it's got Black Swan undertones. All right. It's her putting herself into so much into the work that it takes the psychosis route that I feel Black Swan took, except this one is a little bit more real for the character. It's a good film. If you're not an artistic person, like, or not an artsy film kind of person, this one does take an artsy turn in how it does things. But it's a pretty good film. It's not scary. There's like really not a lot of jump scares, if any at all. But she ends up kind of like making her own movie. And I don't know, it kind of educated me on stop motion and what it takes because like in the beginning when she's working with her mom's like, turn the head 1 millimeter to the right. And like it wasn't perfect, so she yelled at her because they had to take that photo to then do the same thing over and over and over again, 1 millimeter to the right, so that they can have that motion happen. So it's good. I don't know if I'd watch it again. I don't think it's a multi-watch kind of thing, but it is something that I think you can put on if you're trying to see a different horror film because it's different content. It's about a different thing,
Mm.
So it's good.
It's definitely weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is weird. And like I said, I don't know if I'd watch it like again. I'm
Probably
not even
not.
talking about like 2 years from now, but like it was fine for the first watch. Is where I'm at. That's
Yeah.
where I lay.
Yeah. That's fair. I don't think I'd watch it again either, honestly. Okay, so if Imaginary Friends with Ryan Reynolds and everybody under the sun.
Yes.
Um, Again, this is a movie that I probably would not have watched, but I did because I'm trying to watch every movie this year. Pleasantly surprised with how good it was. Um, just has to do with it almost has a Disney feel because her mom has passed away. Her dad is sick. So she's kind of in the process of like, am I going to lose both my parents? And she starts seeing imaginary friends. And the whole point is her trying to find new kids for these imaginary friends because their uh, kids are now grown up and they don't need them anymore. It's kind of the premise of it. I think it was
Hmm.
done very well. You could tell John Krasinski wrote this movie. He said so as a movie his kids could watch him in because he doesn't do a lot of those. And I
Yeah,
think he
that's
Yeah.
did. I think he did a really good job. Brian Reynolds is great in it. Um, there's so many people lending their voices to this that like I think it's definitely worth a watch for everybody. I can get down with kids movies every once in a while, and
yeah.
I enjoyed my time with it. Um,
Good.
I right here, right now, I went and saw that in theaters with the family. My daughter's like the biggest Ghost fan in the world. This was a one weekend only thing. We had to drive like an hour and a half to go see it. Um, it's done extremely well. If you don't know the band Ghost, they're kind of a mix of like I wouldn't actually call them metal. I think they're more kind of a maybe like a pop metal with a
Okay.
I mean, they dress up as like it's a band that has such a rich lore that like if you start listening to the band and really enjoying them, you're just going to go down this huge rabbit hole of this whole universe that the creator of Ghost has made. His name's Tobias Forge. He has played all these different characters, and it's kind of a riff off of like the Catholic Church. Like he dresses up as like the Pope and like that kind of stuff. But he's such a good performer, And this movie kind of ties in that, like, you could go see this movie and just enjoy the music, but there is kind of a story that's tied into it as far as like who's the new character he's going to create and perform as, because he's done it like 4 or 5 times. I know Ghost is huge. They're from Sweden, so like they're big everywhere. But I just think their music is so catchy that I listen to it all the time, and like getting a chance to see kind of like, I mean, you would call this kind of like the Taylor Swift version of Ghost, right? Taylor
Yeah,
Swift got
yeah.
her Eras tour. This is Ghost. So I don't know where it's going to be streaming since they only did one weekend of this movie. I'm assuming it's going to be streaming somewhere at some point in the near future. I would say check it out if you have an interest, or like if you look at what they do and it interests you at all, check it out and listen to the music and see if you vibe with it. I think most people will. But I had a blast, and it was fun being in a movie theater with everybody like dressed up in their costumes and stuff. It was pretty cool. Um, Furiosa, I liked the movie, but the whole time I felt like something was missing. And I don't know what it is. And the only thing I could put my finger on, and Barry, you can help me out, is more emphasis on CGI. Maybe, is that fair?
So like you think it's missing? Like it should be more on
No, there
CGI,
should
or
be
that they?
less CGI.
Yeah, when you're
You know what
thinking
I
about a
mean?
Mad Max.
Because
Yeah,
like
when
the
you're thinking
last Mad
about.
Max was
Yep.
like so much practical effects, like let's put these cars in the desert and have people dangling off of poles, and they still do some of that stuff and it looks good, but I think there was a overemphasis on CGI this time. I think
Hmm.
some of it just didn't hit as well for me. Now I do like the movie, thought it was enjoyable, but not as much as the original.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
don't like, I'm trying to find the best way to describe it. It was just like I finished it and I was like, that was good, but something's off. I don't know what it is.
What's
What? Yeah, like what is going on with this movie that makes it feel off to me? But I think it's the CGI. I don't know if that's, maybe I'm just being too picky, but the scenes that do hit, like they hit,
Yeah.
like they're impressive. And Chris and yeah, Chris Hemsworth is great
Yeah.
as
Chris
a
Hemsworth
villain.
is really
He's
good in
great.
this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely worth a watch though. I'm not saying like don't watch it. For
mm,
sure watch it. I just think maybe my expectations were like, oh my god, the last Mad Max was one of the best movies ever. This has to be just as good. And it's just kind of like, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think that's fair.
Feel the same way.
Yeah. Cool.
But no, that was it for you. I thought you
Mhm.
had one more.
Nope.
Oh
that
no,
was
I
it.
guess you
Yeah.
did go over 3. You did.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening / watching the podcast. If you feel so inclined, listeners, please make sure to review, leave a like or 5-star review this, whatever your podcast listening platform of choice tells you to do. Share it with a friend if you feel so inclined, or on your social media. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe and comment below on what you're most excited for when it comes to the Nintendo Direct, or tell
Hmm.
us, how easy the new Elden Ring DLC is and everyone's such a baby. I take that too. So, thank you for all the support that we get from you guys on a weekly basis, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
See you.